Ladies and gentlemen, Hex community of all ages, hey, Jake Freedom here, coming to you live from YouTube for now the third installment of Hex Shards of Fate from the beginning, and we now have the tutorial loaded up. We have just went through all the 8 decks that are available for when you first start the game, the starter decks, if you will. And now the Hex tutorial here is going to kind of guide us through and walk us through on how to actually play the game. It does a pretty good job. CZE has said that they are still trying to polish the actual tutorial, but it gets the job done, gets you familiar with card interactions, how the cards laid out, things like that. So let's just go ahead and get started here. On the left-hand side here, it just has the Hex tutorial chat box, if you want to call it a chat box, or maybe just a notification box. It says, "Hey, I'm Lionel Flynn, and I will guide you through the tutorial. We will attack our opponent with my powerful Ruby deck. Our opponent is Gozog. Our goal is to reduce his health from 20 to 0 before he can do the same to us." So that is the goal, just like in most TCGs you may be familiar with. Get your opponent down to 0 health, 0 life, 0 health, whatever you want to call it. So here it says right-click on one of the Ruby shards just so we can take a look at it. So we'll just go ahead and zoom in. And it says resource cards are what allow you to play our troops and action cards. Troop and action cards are how we win the game. Right-click to zoom out of this here. Alright, so let's take a look at this resource card here. It's just a basic resource card. It gives us one temporary resource right away, and then we have, obviously one resource point that'll just replenish every time. And we also gain a charge, and we'll get the charges here in just a minute. So now let's go ahead and right-click on the Dragon Guard card, and this is a troop card here, and it says this is a troop card. To play this card, you need 1 ruby threshold, and you'll need to spend 3 resource points. Now, a lot of people say that the resource threshold system in Hex here is not good. I disagree with that one. But you may not be familiar with any other types of TCG's resource system. This one here, basically, every time you lay down a resource, you'll meet a threshold for the cards. This one here means we need to have played at least 1 ruby card, and we need to have at least 3 resource points to be able to play Dragon Guard. Meaning, in this deck, since it's mono ruby, we'll play 3 ruby shards, and then we'll be able to play him. So it says troops here will fight for you in combat. The number 2 in the bottom left is the attack value, and the number 2 in the bottom right is the defense. So here we have his attack. He deals 2 damage, and he can take up to 2 damage before he dies. So let's go ahead and play 1 resource. We can do that once per turn. And it says we get 1 ruby threshold. This will never go away for the remainder of the game. We'll need this to play cards with 1 ruby threshold like our Dragon Guard. But we can't play it yet because we don't have 3 resource points. We also got 1 resource point that's actually pointed out for us, and we'll spend our resource points in order to play cards, but we'll get all of our other resource points back at the start of each turn. So you'll see how that works here in just a minute. We can't play our Dragon Guard yet because obviously we don't heat cost 3 and we don't have that yet. So we'll just go ahead and click continue to end our turn. Now it's going to be our opponent's turn. They lay their resource down there, and it says our opponent just played 1 resource for the turn, a blood shard, and then he spent his 1 resource point to play a troop. So unfortunately we can't zoom in on Duskstalker, but that's okay. Duskstalker is a 1 casting cost, 1 threshold. That's why he was able to play it immediately, so you can see his resource point spending resource points went down to 0, but his pool remains at 1, so it'll replenish the next time his turn comes around. And again, troops cannot attack when they first come into play. They have to go through a some people call it summoning sickness, so they can't do anything unless they have a special keyword called speed, and we'll see that here in just a minute. So let's go ahead and end his turn. Now it'll be our turn. We do another Dragon Guard, so we can't really do anything other than play a resource. Let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll just go ahead and end our turn. It says now we have 2 resource points available, still 1 short of being able to play our Dragon Guard. So we'll just click continue to end our turn there. And now Gozog is actually going to attack us. Since we don't have any troops to block with, he's going to deal 1 damage to us. 1 damage isn't anything to worry about here in early game, so we're just going to let that come through. We have to, since we don't have anything to block with anyway. So he plays another resource, and he plays 2 more Duskstalkers. So now that he's played two resources, he's got 2 threshold, which is kind of irrelevant because these here are just single threshold cards. But he had 2 resource points to spend out of his pool there, so he used both of those to play 1 or 2 Duskstalkers. So let's go and end his turn. Now will be ours. And now we can go ahead and play another resource card here. Now we have our 3 points. we've definitely met our single threshold, since we have 3 threshold to play. So now we can go ahead and play our Dragon Guard. Again, remember, they can attack. So let's go ahead and continue here to end our turn. The tutorial here is, like I said, it's pretty good, it's pretty self-explanatory to get you going with the game there. And as you saw there, the Duststalker that attacked last turn, they will all automatically ready themselves on your beginning step of your turn. Alright, so now our opponent is going to attack with all 3. Luckily, we do have a card that we can block with. So we'll take our Dragon Guard here, we'll click on it, and we just select any troop we want to block. We'll just pick that one there, just random, doesn't matter. And then we'll deal the damage. And since we have 2 defense, and Duststalker can only deal 1 damage, we'll survive, but we're going to deal 2 damage to him, and he'll die. So damage is dealt simultaneously unless certain cards are able to deal their damage first. So there, the damage is dealt, that Duststalker goes away, and our Dragon Guard survives. And then at the beginning of our turn, or at the beginning of each opponent's turn, the card's health will regenerate there. And it says, you'll notice that our Dragon Guard is back to full health. Surviving troops heal back up to full at the end of each turn. Let's right click to take a look at that new card we just got here. So the new card we have here is a burn. It's called a quick action, and quick actions are cards you can play that will immediately have an effect. They'll do something, like this one here. You can deal 2 damage to target champion or troop, and when it's a quick action, it can be played not only on your turn, but it can be played on your opponent's turn in response to something. So he said, let's use burn to clear path for our Dragon Guard. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll just select our burn, and then we'll just target the card that we want. The only one that we can target is obviously lit up here, so we'll go ahead and target him. We'll accept that. It'll go ahead and deal 2 damage, and it'll get that card. It'll go away to the graveyard. And now we can attack with our Dragon Guard here to deal 2 damage. Since these guys are exhausted, they can't block. So now we'll go ahead and play our Ruby Shard, since we haven't done that yet for the turn, and we'll play another Dragon Guard. Okay, so now he is going to attack with both of his Duststalkers again. We'll go ahead and block one. And we'll just take the 1 damage. Our Dragon Guard will survive. And it looks like Gozog played Call to the Grave, an action card that lets him bring a troop back from any graveyard to his hand. He then played that troop since he had the resource points available to do that. Alright, our troops are ready and they heal back up. Before we go any further, let's see, we can't really zoom in. Yeah, we can zoom in on, what can we zoom in on here? We can't zoom in on anything yet. We'll be able to zoom in on the Fox Pet. Alright, so the Fox Pet, it says here, Sly Huntress creates a Fox Pet when she enters play. Right click on the Fox Pet to take a look at it. Let's go over the anatomy of a card here real quick. So obviously we know that this is what it costs to cast. This is the threshold we have to meet. This is what type of card it is. This one here obviously is a troop, and these are its traits. It's a pet beast. We obviously know this is the attack. This is its defense. What are the other ones? This one's missing a couple, but right here, this is the symbol that shows what set it came from, and the color of it is going to mean what rarity it is. This one here, being this dull gray color, means it's a token card. Here we'll have the faction, and maybe we can get zoomed in on their card. I should have said that a little earlier when we were zoomed in on Dragon Guard there. So let's go ahead and zoom out. Still can't zoom in on any of those, that's fine. So let's go ahead and attack with all of these guys here. Deals our damage. And we can go ahead and play a resource. Opponent's turn. Alright, Gozog just played a Zombie Vulture. This troop has the power of flight. So it'll fly, it'll hover over the ground. Troops with flight cannot be blocked by troops on the ground. So he doesn't attack. It comes to be our turn. Alright, we just drew a Rampaging Tarasque. I think that's how you pronounce that one, Tarasque. So it says, let's play it. We can certainly do that. So Like our Fox pet, the Rampaging Tarasque has speed. It looks like we don't have quite enough damage to kill Gozog, but maybe if we use the champion's charge power, we will. So each champion has a charge power, and you can take a look at them by right-clicking, or right-click on the champion. We'll get that here in a second. So the charge powers are right here. And this one here is, if you can see it, it's you need to have at least one threshold, which we have 5, and it takes 5 charge power. So every 5 resources you play, it gives you a charge power. And this charge power here will give a troop +3/+0. So let's go and take a look at Lionel's. I can't do it yet. So we were able to look at his champion or his charge power by right-clicking on the champion there. So let's go ahead and accept that. So now our Rampaging Tarasque here has +3/+0, which gives him 11. Plus he has Crush, so that's 11 damage, 12, 14, 16. That's 18 total damage. So we'll go ahead and declare attackers. So we're going to attack with everything. Sure, it says normally Tarasque wouldn't deal any damage to Gozog because he is blocked. It's not showing it being blocked here, but because he has Crush, the extra 10 damage will crush over and seal Gozog's fate. Good game. So obviously he's probably blocking with a Dust Stalker here, so we're going to deal at least 10 damage there, and whatever else damage we're going to get through. So we're going to go ahead and win the actual game. So like I said, the tutorial is okay. It gets the message across on how to actually, play cards and get into the game. It does leave a little things up for question, which hopefully we can answer in some coming videos here. The next video that we're going to be taking a look at is we're going to go ahead and get into the starter trials, and that's where we'll be able to use our necrotic deck to hopefully try to beat some of those champions, there, and get some new cards for our actual deck. So stick around, stay tuned for part what would be part 4 now, I think, something like that. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like this series and you want to see more of this, don't forget to click subscribe down below, and we'll have another video for you soon.